Hey everyone, my name's Amanda and I'm the Fun Size Reader, and today I want to talk to you about The King's Weapon by Neena Laskowski. I picked The King's Weapon for January of 2025's Fun Size Book Club, and I'm so glad that I did. This was a fantasy romance, and it is the first in a series. I think there's 4 books out right now, but one is like kind of an in-between prequel situation. So there's definitely more to binge that's already been published. When I saw this book, I have seen Neena's posts about it a lot, and it is described as like a Bridgerton-esque romance in a fantasy world, and I definitely got those vibes. So let me read you the synopsis. Callie's next assignment from her father, the King of Ardental: choose a suitor, capture his heart, then take his throne. Although the great war that split Veneria into 7 kingdoms ended 100 years ago, its shadow looms over the people. Due to her unique gift from the gods, Callie has become her father's errand girl and his key to uniting the kingdoms once again. For years, she has trained her body, mind, and her ability to manipulate people, but Callie wishes to be more, to have more control over her life and more power. The success of this assignment will finally prove she is capable of just that. However, the mission quickly goes awry when an enemy kingdom captures Callie on her way to her chosen suitor's palace. As her captors drag her across Veneria, Callie must face the truth that there might be more to her story than she once thought. And while she may be a master of manipulation, she is not immune to it. Now, Callie must decide, is she the one doing the manipulating, or is someone else manipulating her? Now, I realized as I was halfway through reading that to you that I normally give the synopsis in my own words. I do not have the brain power for that today. I am exhausted. So I read it. It's fine. I'm still going to talk about all the feelings that I had because I did take notes when I read this book. We'll get there in the book club discussion section. Star rating. I gave this book 4 solid stars. I really liked this book. It took me a minute to get it going. Okay. I think the first couple chapters where it's like building the world and building Callie as a character took me a second to just get the ball rolling. But as soon as there were some people that kind of showed up and piqued my interest a little bit, I was like, okay, what's happening? So once that happened and once that like the storyline got rolling, I was like, all right, I'm in. And I didn't really want to put it down. I kept reading. I read a lot every night. It kept me intrigued. This book, I think, was a little bit lighter on the romance. It was a lot of plot and world, and it had the romance in it. Even though the synopsis doesn't seem like super romancy, it definitely had the romance in it, but it was not as like heavy in the beginning. I do think that that's coming. Okay. I do. And I'm stoked for that because this was the nice like introduction, the teasing, the little steaminess, like loved it. Loved that. Okay. So I say steamy because the spice rating on this is 0. It's a slow burn, and that's okay. We love a slow burn. I do not know if it will get spicy. I have no idea. I haven't read the second book yet, but it is steamy. Tensions rise. Things are said. Things are implied. The romance is there. So we'll see what happens. Overall, I thought this was a great fantasy romance. I would definitely recommend this book to people who like Bridgerton, who like fantasy romance, who like unlikable characters, who like twists and turns. There were a lot of things that I didn't see coming in this book, and I'll talk about them in a few minutes in the spoiler section. I think this would be a great book for people who are getting into fantasy. I just really liked it. I really liked it. It is available on Kindle Unlimited, but I will put the link for the book down in the description below if you'd like the physical copy as well. I personally really liked the way that it was formatted. I think Neena did a great job. Very easily readable, very legible. It like felt good. So I did read it on my Kindle, but I do like the book also. Okay, so at this point, we are going to be talking about spoilers. If you have not read the book, this is your warning. This is the Fun Size Book Club discussion section where I'm going to talk about all my reactions and predictions and things like that. So things will be spoiled. If you haven't read it yet, pause, come watch the video again after you've read the book. Okay, friends, I had notes. I wrote down my reactions as I was reading this one because I did not want to forget, because I actually read this book. It was like not the first book that I read of the year, because I was finishing one from December, which chef's kiss. But this was the second book that I read of the year. So I had to take notes. In the beginning, the incident that I said like kind of got me interested was at the ball, her little like suitor ball, if we're talking in Bridgerton terms, right? So she is dancing or is supposed to dance, and Finn comes up and like dances with her. I was a little confused. I was like, when we met him and then when we met Grayson, and then there was this like weird vibe between the three of them, I was like, who's the love interest? I don't know if I want to do such a visible, out there, in your face love triangle. Like I don't know if I'm in the mood for that. So I'm glad it was defined, because at the beginning I was a little confused. And I'm glad it wasn't, Finn and he was her brother. Love that. I did think in the beginning, I got the vibe when Callie was trying to use her powers to control Finn in that first dance scene. I got the vibe that it like didn't work on him. So I was very curious as to why. I think it was answered that it's not that it didn't work on him, but obviously we know once we figured out that Finn had powers and what his powers were, that he could read her mind and all of that. I find it hard to believe that way back then, Callie knew to put up like her mental shields, even though that's kind of what it was talked about in the last chapter in the epilogue when she's talking to the king. I know I jumped right to the end. We're not going to go there yet, but I find it hard to believe that she knew all the way back then when we were seeing her kind of react to who these people were throughout the whole story. So the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that's plausible. Anyways, I did write in my notes that I predicted that she was the princess of another kingdom because another kingdom had powers, or they were coming to get her, something like that. So I know that ended up being what was the truth. That's what happened. She was taken. We find that out. So I did predict that from the beginning, but I think that that's just like a standard trope, right? Like that you were a princess of a different kingdom and now you're being rescued, or you're finding out your true history or whatever. So I don't think that was not enjoyable just because I predicted it, but I did predict it. I was not expecting Alan to be a spy. Not at all. I did not get that in the slightest. I didn't get it. I think my jaw dropped when we discovered that Alan was a spy. That was shocking. And he kind of was an asshole, and I didn't really like him. And I don't think we got enough of explanation as to why he was being so hostile towards her. Obviously, he was there and, protecting her and her friend and all of that for so many years. But then once they were back in with like her family and her kingdom, he was like an absolute dick. And I was like, why? Like, what happened? What changed immediately? Like, if you were protecting her because she was your princess, wouldn't you still be nice to her after? I don't know. I was very confused about that, why he was such an asshole. But I did not predict him. I did not catch him at all. A lot of my notes I took at the very end because I feel like I just read this book so just straight through. I didn't even stop to think and try to guess things. I just kind of like enjoyed the bantering and the, cute scenes, and tried to pick up on little things that I noticed that affected my notes at the end. But here we go. I did predict that the ring that she wore was somehow connected to Grayson. I thought it was from him. And now we know at the end that it's not exactly from him, but it's got like some magical bond imbued to like them being kind of like mated or paired or something like that, because his mom was a seer. So like I knew that the ring had something to do with him. I did really like that detail because I feel like it really made me solidified that the romance would go somewhere, even though with the way that Callie was being at the end. I have hope because of this ring that she won't take off. I did get throughout like their interactions that there was like this pull or bond, like I said, between them. And it did give that like fated mates feeling. Like you did feel, and when he asked her, like, don't you feel it? I was like, I did pick up on that there's just like this drawing together that they can't really stop. So I think that gives me hope that like he's going to go get her again and take her out of the clutches of the other kingdom. That's at least what I want to happen. Okay, but let's talk about who's the real manipulator here, okay? Because when the book ended and we read Callie's perspective and we figured out that she actually was the one who told the guy, the guard that she sent back where she was going, and she basically called the king and all of this stuff, and that this was supposed to be the plan all along, and it really made me hate her. Like at the end, I was not Team Callie. I was like, I really don't like her now. I don't know if I can recover from this. My prediction is that it was Mira that has been the manipulator this entire time. I think that Mira is the one who's truly manipulating Callie and manipulating the king, or the king knows that Mira is the true manipulator and is manipulating. Like, I think there's a triangle going on here, or, you know, a hierarchy, because when they mentioned going to the spring that's supposed to like heighten their power, Mira was like, oh, I'll get my stuff. Let's go. And they said, oh, no, you can't go because unless you're of like Punchin blood, you will die like a terrible death. And then she was like, oh, and then disappeared. I think she wanted to go to the spring because she is actually Punchin, and she wanted to like refuel her powers because she's the one that's pulling the strings. That's my prediction. Because that's my prediction, it made me hate Callie a little less at the end, because I think that she's the one that's being manipulated into thinking that she's doing the manipulation, or, to believe that this is the right thing to be doing. Because I was so mad. I was so mad at the end of the book after everything, especially after Finn died, because I was not prepared for that. I was not prepared for him to die. Okay. I did not think that we were going there in the first book, maybe the second one, but the first one, no, was not okay. Dany broke my heart. I cannot read their love story now, knowing how freaking devastating it ended. Like, there's no way I could go back and read their love story knowing that he dies. Absolutely not. Cannot do it. So when I continue to read this series, I think I'll be skipping that one. I'm sorry, Neena. I'm sorry, but you can't kill somebody and then make me fall in love with them after the fact. Like, no. Can't do it. I also really want to know what the king's motivation is, because I think there's got to be something bigger. I feel like just the want for power and want for more control over thrones, it doesn't feel like enough. I feel like there's something that I didn't pick up on, or there's some bigger thing that we just don't know about yet. There's got to be some bigger reason why the manipulation even really started. One thing I will say, though, is I did not super love the Queen's character. I know Callie had grievances with her of like, well, why didn't you come after me? I was your daughter. I was taken. Like, why didn't you? Why didn't you? And the Queen gave this like, I had to look out for my kingdom answer. And like, okay, I know we get it, but I didn't think she was a strong enough character throughout the whole book. And I kind of wanted her to be more, especially once her like long lost daughter showed up. I wanted her to be stronger and not just there to tell her the memories, and not just there like, I just felt like she fell a lot flat for me. The Queen did. I wanted her to be more. Overall, though, it was very entertaining. Really liked it. I saw the Bridgerton vibes, the parallels, the courting, the like, should we be together? We shouldn't be together. It wasn't like fake dating like Simon and Daphne, but I did get the vibes of having court and having the Tawn and having the big Bridgerton family that like sits around in the drawing room together. Like, I saw those things. So I thought that was fun. Definitely will continue the series, except for the in-between book that's the prequel book, because I can't mentally and emotionally handle that. I hope you guys enjoyed the book like I did. I hope you want to continue the series. If not, that's okay. Not everything is for everyone. We know that. And there's never any judgment here. I did read this book on KU and bought a physical copy. So like I said before, I will put a link for the physical copy down in the description below. Thanks so much for reading with me for Fun Size Book Club for January of 2025. Make sure to stay tuned for the next video to know what we will be reading in February. And again, I'm sorry I changed the date. I had to mess it up because I had a previous commitment today, and that's why I'm so tired. But hopefully I will be more chipper next time. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate all of you that come and hang out with me for book club. Yay for starting off our 2025 year. I think it's going to be an awesome one for reading. And I'll see you guys next time.